podcast with me, Sade. And as you can see by today's title, we're in for it. We're in for something real nice. And so I'm super excited just to dive into it and get it started. So, as you guys know, I'm really about mindset, how to achieve things, and what I can best do to take myself from one level to the next. So, feeling very frustrated, very much like, what is going on, with my life? And one of the things that brought myself to my attention is that, that quote from Mike Tyson, and it's everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face. And we hear it so often, but have you ever remembered a time that you were punched in the face? Not a literal punch in the face, but like figuratively punch in the face. Actually, we might know it as, a punched in the gut feeling. I've had that. And point in time right now where I'm a little bit frustrated with myself because there's certain things that I want to accomplish and I just can't figure out what's stopping me. Clearly it's me. It's stopping me. But I can't find that disconnect. And so one of my favorite book that I reviewed on Audio Banger, book that I pre-reviewed before I even reviewed it for Audio Bangers, is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And so he calls it his cookie jar. And it was like doing difficult things. And this is more like, I don't know what I would call it, like punch in the face. How many times I've been punched in the face? But essentially, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have always had the innate belief that if there's something that I really want to do, if I put my mind to it, like fairly astounding, like very freaky, how driven, how focused, how ambitious I can be. I sacrifice a whole lot, but yeah, it's still something that I've always been very blessed with the ability to do in a very innate way. This was prior to mindsets and how people think and what would be the best way to go about this and this, that, and the third. So this was before all of that. And I'm frustrated with myself because there's two things that I started and haven't finished. Or not necessarily finished, finished, or embarked is a better word. So I have my real estate license, tentatively signed with Keller Williams, yet have done nothing with it since. One of the things that's kind of stopping me with that particularly is capital. For my state, it is a lot of money. Like the sticker shock of it is a lot of money, but like if I break it down into bite-sized pieces and actually make it tangible, it's really not that much, but it is close to $2,000. I think even plus that, like 2,200, honestly, as far as like those fees. So it is something that I want to pursue part-time. It's a whole lot about that industry that I don't know. I knew enough to pass the test by studying, but coming from the background of cosmetology, I know that there's certain things that a school doesn't prepare you for. Now, I had the pleasure at teaching a school that really did prepare you for a lot of things, just to the point where you wouldn't be completely thrown through a loop if it ever arose. But not all schooling is like that. For the most part, they just teach you whatever you need to know for that license, and they're not teaching you what you need to know to make money. because that's why people get into these industries, is to make money. So with that being said, I need tons of help in that area. I'm thankful for having people in my life who, drop me gems and jewels here and there, and I'm like taking notes, and I'm like, okay, once I get started, like I'm gonna hit the ground running. But yet I have this roadblock that's blocking me, and it is capital. I wish I could just like into my, you never know. I'm not. But um, so the main issue there is capital. Um, and so that is something that I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have to come back to that. Like, God didn't bring me to this point, had me investing my time, having me super interested in this area for it just to be for naught, for it just to be a blip, a moment in time where Sade accomplished something and did nothing with it. Because everything that I accomplished up until this point, I did stuff with it. It wasn't just I did it and I didn't do anything with it. Like, I used it as a tool. Now, hindsight, the fruits of the labor, I still executed on the goal, on the vision, on the plan. And now that I'm coming alongside a plan that it's really not my plan, right? It's really something that like God has really put on my heart. These are areas, places, and spaces that I need to be. And so me really trying to see like how this gonna work out. What is this going to do for me now? Because right now I'm a part of one of the industries, but at I mean at a fairly, I don't know, lower level. Not lower level, but not at the place where I see myself being. So I really am ruminating on that, getting super frustrated on that fact, really just trying to give myself grace, but also, there's a fine line of giving yourself grace and then just babying the crap out of yourself. And literally, you're going to be crapping yourself because you baby yourself too much. So there's that. Then we have my CDL. I am one test away from my CDL. And so let's go over the story of that, shall we? Um, if I could give anybody thinking about going into this industry or training, and you got a grant like myself, or you don't even have a grant, you probably have, your own money that you're saved up, or a parent or a family member that's willing to invest in you in order for you to do this, because they really, want you to be, making that money or whatever. Please, please go to every single school that you have of interest to and ask very specific questions. Ask if they're going to be testing you on a manual or an automatic, because that matters tremendously. I didn't I didn't think that it was going to be as difficult as it was, which it is very difficult to drive a manual. And so I was able to get to this point in the test, the shifting for like actual road, like driving, you know, I do good at it, but I, I don't know. It was just like the school was not, that particular school was not for me. I didn't give up on the fact because I can still, what it was is that they told me, oh, I don't know why the state, makes you test on manuals, when any place you get a job at, it's going to be an automatic. And come to find out, they're just a school who doesn't want to use automatics. They're purists. And if I would have known that, I would have jet set it somewhere else. So I should have went on YouTube University, and really did a lot more research than I did. At the time, I was just looking for something that fit into my schedule because a lot of these programs are 4 weeks. That's a plus, right? 4 weeks, but at a full time schedule. And I was like, how am I even going to sleep and work a full time job? Like, I have 2 kids, I have bills. Like, girl, how am I going to do this? So, even if the education was free, like, how am I going to do this? To take a step back and bet on myself for a month and be without funds, like, there's no way. So, with that being said, I if I could go back to school, I would not choose that school. And it is not to say that there still aren't things that I learned that still resonate with me that I use, but just the overall experience, especially coming from my background of being an educator, I just don't like I just don't like foolishness. I'm just not vibing with things done incorrectly. It's, like, and you looking at me like, I want to say one of the things that can't be avoided from my situation, I felt like for myself, I can't speak for anybody else. Um, like, I wasn't the only woman there. I will say that I was the only woman that looked like me, dressed like me. They literally were like, you can't have nails and do this. And I'm like, uh, yes, I can. If I can have nails and I can work out and bench press and everything else, and it'd be no problem. I'm pretty sure I can turn a wheel on a truck, pull some hoses, crank some things, kind of just judging me on, like, okay, like, what are you doing here? Like, I literally had a guy tell me, like, you look like you should be sitting in someone's office baking cookies. You don't look like this is an industry that you should be getting in. And so I think that was like the source of contention. Like, there is this, the I would say covert, but it is an overt sexism when it comes to transportation and logistics in this, specific scenario. I definitely was feeling that. And it was just so unsavory. So unsavory. Like, so unsavory, so frustrating. So something that was supposed to take 9 weeks ended up taking like 6 months. And I was like getting the runaround. Oh, like, you need to wait. Oh no, you need to do this. Oh no, you need to do that. And it's just like, I was like, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up. And then I'm like, okay, now you guys are just playing in my face, and you're wasting my time, which is now affecting my finances, which is affecting like my family structure, which is affecting my sleep and everything like that. So it really was, you know, just not a good time for it. So luckily, I, was talking to somebody and they told me, like, hey, there's companies that you could just like rent their truck. They like, do practicing with you, and you'll be able to borrow their truck for you to take your test, and they use automatics. Like, I learned, my school taught me on an automatic. I have my license with automatic. I don't know how to drive a manual. And I was like, what? Telling me, oh no, you have to use a manual for the test. And I thought nothing of it for real because I am a licensed professional for another industry. So there are some things that are outdated that they still want you to test on. I get that. But child, when I tell you, I was like, can I have a couple options here? Because my other option was wait till mid-July, apply for to be a company driver and pays for the schooling, and I go through that way. I mean, there's only so many options that I would have. that or just get it myself. So if I'm one test away, like I gotta bet on myself. Those things are like looming over me. I'm like super frustrated about it. And it's actually in like the back of my mind where like it's one of those things that it's almost like steaming off of me, the irritation of it all, like steaming off of me. But when I'm going to the Lord, I'm not going to the Lord about this thing. I'm going to the Lord about other things. There's some other things that's going on, but I had to do a lot of repenting. But there's other things that are going on, and I had to go to the Lord about that. But podcast, because I really rely on the Spirit, on God to really guide this podcast. I tell you guys a bajillion times, this is a love letter to myself. This is a love letter to my children, because there's going to be a time where I probably won't be coherent enough, or maybe I'll forget, or whatever the case may be. And so I like the fact that this is logged somewhere where they can just be like, oh man, my mom went through this, she went through that. Okay, if she did this when she was going through that, like I can do that. And that's something that I want to leave them. So this is the how-to guide on getting punched in the face. So I'm thinking about these two areas, real estate, logistics, transportation, and how I'm just at the precipice of those businesses and seeing other people in the industry doing it and knowing that it's not easy. Like real estate is not going to be easy. Logistics is not going to be easy. In the transportation sector, it's not easy by any means. There's a lot of things that go along with that. For one, it's solitude, being away from your family. It's like the things that are depending on your mindset. And so I know those things aren't going to be sunshine and rainbows always. They're just not going to be. But I'm having this conversation with me had to remind me of all that he put me through. He accomplished, I accomplished with him, and how the situation looked ridiculous. And so one of the things you may or may not know is I did have a stint of living in Memphis. I probably lived in Memphis for like an hour and a half. Oh my God, a year and a half. Honestly, that I don't remember. I remember a lot of things about that time, and a lot of things I tried to erase about that time. But I did live in Memphis for a while, and while I was there, I finally decided to go to beauty school. So I was enrolled in beauty school and happened to find out that I was pregnant with my son. So I found out I was pregnant with my son, and I was just like, yeah, this is not the move to try to stay out here. I'm already a single mom with a 3-year-old. Now I'm pregnant again. And yeah, I just got to put my tail between my legs and go home. So I packed up my car, everything that I could fit in there. There were things that I couldn't, that I had to end up throwing away. And my pregnant butt drove 8 hours back home. And so I was out there in beauty school, whatever, just super frustrated, um, you know, coming. And so I was like, okay, well, I started beauty school there. Like I should be able to do it again. Now, mind you, it's just a testament in and of itself, because I had to do FAFSA, all that jazz without any help. Okay, I had to navigate that stuff with zero help. And if the relationship with me and my mother was at a good point, I have no doubt that she, would have helped me. but we were estranged. She did not help me, zero help, and I at least accomplished that. Praise Jesus. And so, what was even great about this, like while God is revealing this stuff to me, He was, because that was some, one day I'll talk about it, but that was just like some dark, crazy time. Like, my early 20s just was like some wild, crazy, dark times, doing a whole lot of stuff I ain't got no business doing. And thinking about it now, there are so many situations where I could have lost my life, but He kept me. So that is a testament in and of itself that He kept me. So I'm back home. Now I have to find a school. So now I'm like looking for a school, trying to find a school. I'm trying to find a specific school. I was like, oh, I want to go to a Pivot Point school. Pivot Point is like the Harvard, of beauty schools. And so I'm really trying to find one of those, and was unsuccessful in getting in the school. It was just like weird. I finally found a school, and they were going to take my credits, transfer my credits. But they were like, oh, yeah, girl, we'll transfer your credits, but a lot of this stuff you're going to have to self-study, like the bulk of the curriculum. And I was like, I'd rather just start over. So I had to start over. Mm. And I think God, so I started over and, did it, and ended up um, graduating, and probably went about, I want to say like 7 or 8 months before I even took state board. And the story about that was just like, I just didn't have the money. Like me going through beauty school, these are things, um, shout out to like my circle of friends during that time, because when I tell you, it was like it took a village. Like there was times where like I didn't even know how I was gonna eat, what I was gonna eat. And my friend would be like, oh girl, I got my link card, get whatever you want. Or hey girl, I know my parents' credit card number by heart. We finna order some pizza. It's cool. Like he kept me. Like he had people in my life that was just like, hey, like you don't even, and it's not me like even being like, oh, it, I didn't even have to ask. Like that was um the energy at the time. So that was a good time for myself. I mean, the most of a college experience that I probably will ever get. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. So 8 months went by. I didn't have money to pay for the state board exam. I want to say it was like $150 or something like that. And so no, I didn't have the money. So my mom, my mom one day was just like, "You went to school and you graduated and da da da, and you still ain't got no job." And I was like, "I don't have money for the test." And she was like, "Okay, well here's some money so you could go register for this test, or here's my card number so you can go register for the test." And so I registered for the test and passed it. First time, didn't study. Didn't study. And see that's that arrogance. I be approaching almost every single test like that. But that's gonna bring you up. So I'm working in the beauty industry. You have to work in the industry for 2 years. Okay. Well, you don't have to, but it's best if you work for the industry for 2 years before you go back for your cosmetology instructor's license. So that was really something that I wanted to do. I really wanted to do that because during my time in beauty school, I didn't have the best teachers. Okay. I had some really great teachers. During my time, I didn't have the best teachers. And so it was one of those things where it's just like, I want to pay it forward by being that person, that educator that I wish that I had to help me. And so that was one of the, the main catalysts for me wanting, to achieve this. So looking around for schools, um, until I finally found one. And I was like, oh, okay, for child, it was no structure. That thing was ghetto as ever. They were there like, oh, we got to come up with our own curriculum. I said, what? What? How do you the textbook like Milady Salon Fundamentals? They sell that, baby. That's how you got. Oh, you get a free iPad. You come to our school, yeah, baby. You don't even have the teachers don't even have a curriculum or anything like that to really teach. They just going off of oral history at this point. I was there for a long time, really trying to tough it out, really trying to tough it out. Now, mind you, I was living a good 45 minutes to an hour away from this school because I had to go out of my immediate dwelling in order to find the school. So I'm venturing out, really trying to make something happen for myself. I was like, yeah, this is not. So I'm over here looking at other schools. Looking at other schools. The first school that popped up after that was KMU. And I call it up. I call up the school. I'll never forget. Shout out to Mr. H. One of the absolute best employers. I have to say that was one of the you know best and um challenge my life. And yeah, so he went ahead and he was like, okay, well, you can um go ahead and tell me like, oh, like what school are you? Well, he was like, yeah, like trash. Like he was just like trash talking on the phone. And if you meet him, like that's just how he is. Super hilarious. So he's like trash talking on the phone. And I was like, okay, like you talking big shit. Like I can't come on here. And so the school didn't look as elevated as the other school, but one thing that I won't do is judge a book by its cover. Like I'm judging the book by its cover immediately, but I'm always um open to reading the book. And that is with people, places, things. I'm always like, okay, do because I can come to a quick conclusion. I guess just like anybody else, I tend to be more accurate, but I give people the opportunity to prove my assessment wrong. And I don't tell them what I think about them. I'm just like, oh, but I'm still going to treat them with the same respect and kindness and anything else that I would give to anybody else. But still, those things are in the back of my head, like, you know. And I was like, I honestly don't care as long as the education is there. And he was like, our structure and education is on point. And so, what did I do? I started over. I started over of those credits. I started over, and it was literally my choice to start over. I don't remember if we even discussed transferring any hours, but I wanted to start over because I was like, you know what? I did invest quite a bit of time there, a couple of months. And funny story about that, me and one of my friends from beauty school, we were trying to, give our teacher's lessons at the same time at that school. So I want to say I think she ended up leaving. Um, she may or may not pursue it somewhere else. I don't think so. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we were We were there together. We was looking at each other like, because one thing about me and her, we was never the ones when we was in school. It was like, you you don't know, you don't know what. Oh, let me go find somebody else. Like that's just how it was. But I went there and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I enjoyed the instructors. My favorite probably has to be Big Red. The funny thing is, I don't know if it's just like me or just the structure of like a workplace, is that I never see people for how old they are. Um, and that's probably why people don't see me for how older than I am, but I'm older, like, than I am. Much personality, super vibrant, and like youth mature. It's very hard to explain her, but she's a firecracker. Love her immensely. She just taught me so much. Like they're supposed to be teaching me how to teach, but they actually elevated me as a hairstylist moving forward. So those were times where I was punched in the face and I had to pivot. Um, and this is just a point A to point. Sometimes you gotta go up, down, get back up, and then you get to cut across. Then you gotta go back down, cut back 2 steps, and then come back over, and then eventually you'll get to your destination. And one of the main rewards of it all is the journey. Is who am I becoming along this way? Um, because there, I can say, and made me a different person. I also have that's like one thing, but this is just another testament of how I put my mind to it. So I was challenging myself in the hair industry, designing hair, super easy to me, second nature to me. Like you give me some shears, you give me some clippers, it's all in popping. Like cutting, that's like my superpower. I will cut you. That's my superpower. And color was like it's just a concept that I was got my head around it too well. But it was when I was teaching it, like me teaching it actually helped me grasp it a lot better. And so I decided to challenge myself and go and get and take writing classes. So I'm taking these writing classes, like trying to get, you know, more overs color. It was given to me. And they were like, really like your style, your aesthetic, you'd be perfect for this. And I was like I would be perfect to get extra. Yes. And so it's like, oh, here's my boss's number. Like, dude, never called, never contacted her because I was just like, please. I'm just trying to make it think small, huge. But that wasn't what God intended. I take the certification, which was that's like the whole thing in itself. I could talk about to this day between all my certifications, all the classes I've taken, everything I invested in myself for cosmetology, which I don't even want to think. Okay, I don't want to think about it. More than 5 figures. No, it's 5 figures for sure, for sure. As far as like money I've spent, travel, hotel, um, you name it, tickets, everything. And so I did the certified hair colorist first time. Crazy. Could not believe it. I didn't pass this time. One of those things where I was just like, hey, people are super prone to share the highlight reel on social media. I'm going to share the bad. It's so unfair. No one does. I talk super with things like that. There's still a kind of things that I don't know, being in a relationship, being a sister, there's so many areas that I feel that even God will bring me to this is a moment that this past reminding me of situations where the odds were not in my favor, you know, there was still and so that's what the main takeaway is. Every situation I had to pick, right? Have a plan. Oh, I found a good school. I went to the school. What was my teacher face? Yeah, I didn't have to go back. I didn't have to start school. Oh, so you not teach yourself. Book. Those are the things. And it brings me to the Bible. So much adversity happened to you know, for the fact that they really don't talk about survivors. And also stand to say that he was not, his mother was not specifically treated very different, very much ostracized. That, that has to do something to you. So growing up to a point where, you know, somebody looked up to is trying to work you at every turn. Okay, you're literally fighting for your life. All you're doing is existing because you are the anointed one to take this man's spot. And you turn out to go out that fight. That's punch in the face. So that hit. What's your next step? And that is something that I want to leave with you guys as a question. What's your next step? Do it. Goes through. You know where I'll be back for this podcast. You guys come play that thing to number one. That's it. Like I said, we gotta survive 10,000% of everything that was sent to do break us. And we have so I'm not even gonna punch in the face with all your pain. But I want you to go into that room with your universe and recall those times where your back was against the wall. King